For me and probably a lot of other visual effects artists, it's Star Wars, of course. In 1977, as a kid of 11, I think, or 10 or something like that, I can't remember. Yeah, going to the theater, seeing that movie, going back another 13 times after that. When I came out of the movie theater, the very first time that I saw Star Wars, I said to my mom, that's what I want to do for a living. As a kid, I would build models instead of playing with toys, because the toys that came out for the Star Wars by Kenner, I think, they were all disproportionate and looked completely wrong, and I knew that as a kid. And that attention to detail inspired me to actually get the model kits instead. So I'd build the model kits because they were actually proportioned correctly and play with those instead of actual toys that you get in the store. It was 1983, and I got a job at a video store, and that's when video stores didn't exist. It was like one of the first ones that had beta and VHS and very few movies, but eventually they started getting video cameras in and they'd let me borrow them. So I would start doing video movies, and most of the time they were effects-heavy video movies of doing in-camera kind of effects. For school, I would make an excuse to do some kind of school project. I'd shoehorn it into being able to do a video instead of, like, I think one was a time capsule. That was the very first one I did. Everybody else in the class did paper mache or like documents and images and stuff, and I actually did a video, and no one else did that. And I put visual effects in there that weren't necessary, but I did it because I got my hands on the medium. While I was in college at University of North Carolina, Greensboro, I met a friend whose brother was working at Industrial Light and Magic. He was the model shot supervisor for Star Trek First Contact, and he had just finished working on the Enterprise E, and he asked me if I wanted to come see it, and I'm like, yes, I do. Yes, I talked about it for 10 years, about coming to California, because I'd never been to see him in Northern California, and I did. And I arrived at the airport, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool, San Francisco. And we're driving to Marin County, and we stopped by ILM on a Sunday. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. And we get there, it's just this industrial park, nondescript, kind of boring. And it was a Sunday, there's only one person working, and he was building some kind of like rock sculptures in the parking lot, you know, painting and stuff. So it reminds me of that scene in Willy Wonka where, you know, he opens the door to the chocolate factory, and seriously, do you see the goosebumps? Because he opened the door and it was the model shop, and it was covered, every inch of this room, which was really big, covered with models from, I saw the hoverboards from Back to the Future, the house from Death Becomes Her, the Scoleri brothers from Ghostbusters, the Enterprise was there, the Borg sphere was there, and I literally could not process what I was seeing because it was so amazing. And that trip led to an interview that I got a job 3 days after that, and then a month after that they moved me from North Carolina to California, and that's when I started my career at ILM. The career highlight for me at ILM was my work with R2-D2. I got the real R2-D2 at my desk, and he was there for about a month. And I'm not talking this Don Post or Sharper Image stuff. It was the real deal, sitting at my desk for a month. And here we go again. But he was there, and I needed reference. I was modeling, so I was taking measurements and stuff. But he was sitting there at my desk for a month. And every time everybody would come in the morning, they'd rub R2-D2's head, you know, for luck. It was kind of a stupid thing, but it's R2-D2. So I was able to own R2-D2 for that whole movie, and I designed how he walked upstairs because that was something that came out of the blue. George said, we wanted to save the flying gag for the end of the movie because initially he was supposed to fly over this bridge, but George wanted him to walk up the stairs instead to save the surprise for the end of the movie for the flying. And I sat there for about 2 days playing with my toy, trying to figure out how R2-D2 walks upstairs, because he doesn't really do that. So then I figured out how to use his middle leg to sort of kind of hop and climb upstairs, and then I had a review with George, and I called something the Kenny Baker Shuffle, where he kind of waddles, you know, the actor would do this kind of thing. the suit. So I actually did the same thing in CG to give it that life, and I called it the Kenny Baker Shuffle. And I actually got him to say it when the review, because I said, yeah, I put the Kenny Baker Shuffle in there. And George is like, yes, I like the Kenny Baker Shuffle. I'm like, yes. But that was one of the cool moments for me. And I designed the rocket mechanisms for the legs that come out, you know, when he flies. And in books, that has my name on it. Those rockets are actually named after me. And in reference books and the mythos, they're actually called Brooks propulsion units, which is, again, you know, a geek fantasy, right? What I try to achieve with my work is realism. And if someone says, what did you do here? That is like the best compliment you could ever say to a visual effects artist. The core software that I like to play with is Nuke. I use that at work, and I like using it outside of work to explore how to push the boundaries of 2D and 3D, because Nuke has a lot of 3D functionality where you can put, you know, you can have an actual camera and you can put cards in 3D space. And you can do camera moves, and without having to jump into an actual 3D package, you can do quick iterations by having it within your compositing software. The other core package I like to use is Lightwave, and the reason being is that I actually have used that since its inception. So I've used it for 20 years, I guess. God, I'm old. But for 20 years. And I know it really well, and I'm very fast in it. And I think familiarity is, you know, could be with any software that you prefer, but mine is Lightwave. I know my, I know lots and lots of different softwares, but my Lightwave is my go-to 3D app. After Effects is another compositing package that I use a lot, simply because of familiarity, and that I've been using that one since the mid-90s as well. A while back, I got my hands on a MediaWorkstations i7-6. It has the GTX 690 video card in it, and it is smoking. I love this machine. It allows me to not be afraid to push the limits of what I can do, because a lot of times you just know that you can't do a certain thing, so your machine can't do it. It goes too slow, so you just avoid it because your experience says, I can't do that, so I'm going to try to fake it or work around it. With this machine, I can just, the cuffs are off. All this stuff is not lost on me as how fortunate and what an awesome thing this is, and I'm so appreciative for the opportunities to be able to do that, because, you know, it's my dream come true.